Welcome to this week's show. Today I wanted to talk about the importance of getting grounded and staying grounded. Listen, we're in a crazy time right now. We've got the pandemic happening. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and I'm sure nothing like you've ever seen. I've talked to some friends, I am on social media, the news, and there's a lot of fear and uncertainty out there. And when I think about that, there's been other times in my life where I've had uncertainty and had fear come up. And I'm realizing right now in this season that we're walking through together, and other seasons in my life when I look back, I'm realizing the importance of being grounded and practices that we can use in our lives every day to help us get grounded and stay grounded. Now, when I think about groundedness, I think about a tree whose roots go deep into the ground. That tree can go through storms, it can go through the winter, it can go through all kinds of things, and it may lose some branches, it may lose some leaves, but at the end of the day, because the roots of that tree go so deep into the ground, down and out, there's a groundedness that tree has. It's not easily uprooted. And I believe that we can have that in our lives, that we can have this groundedness where our roots, the roots of our soul, the roots of our spirit can go deep into the ground, and we can be grounded in a way that we're not easily tossed around, and we don't have to go to a place of overwhelming fear and anxiety. But if we do go to that place, we can bring ourselves back with some practices that I'm going to talk about today that will help get us grounded and keep us grounded. So we can feel out of control at times in our lives when things happen that we didn't expect, when we get bad news, when we're in the middle of a pandemic like we are right now. We can feel out of control. But you know what? We actually can go inward and become in control. We can have control of our feelings. We can get control of that anxiety, because anxiety only takes us away from our truest selves. It only takes us away from who we really are. And so in this uncertainty, when we're feeling this anxiety that leads us to an opportunity to actually tap into our inner power, which I talk about all the time here on Red Lips and Eye Rolls. And that inner power gives us the ability to have a sense of groundedness. So when we think things are uncertain, when we think things are certain, and we don't feel like we're in control anymore. Again, when news hits that we didn't expect, or this virus, or all the uncertainty that's happening, how that impacts us, something that we didn't expect gets us all riled up. And so I wanted to talk about groundedness today. And so it's important to have a way to get back to ourselves. A way to come home to our true selves, to kind of go inward and take this inward journey, and to discover that our inner person is really calm and has peace. And there's ways and there's practices for us to get back to him or to get back to her. And I wanted to talk about those practices today. The first practice or technique is called the grounding technique. This is something that you can use when, again, fear rushes your body, rushes all of your senses, when you have a lot of anxiety come up because you've got some bad news, or something happened that you didn't expect, or you've got a lot of worry happening in your life and it kind of comes flooding in all of a sudden, you can use this grounding technique to help bring you back to yourself, to help reduce anxiety in the moment. And this grounding technique is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what it is, it's something that you can practice in the moment. So say you got some crazy news, say something again happened that you didn't expect to happen, you can use this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique to bring you back to your body, to bring you back to yourself. So this is how it works. You acknowledge 5 things that you can see. This is the first thing that you do. You acknowledge 5 things that you can see. So for instance, I see my cup of lemon water. I see my computer. I see my microphone. I can look across the kitchen and see my refrigerator. I can see my coffee maker. And you acknowledge things that you can see. Again, this is a grounding technique. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Acknowledging the 5 senses. So I just acknowledged 5 things that I can see. Now I'm going to acknowledge 4 things that I can touch. I can touch this countertop. I can touch my hair. I can touch, again, my cup of water. I can touch my computer. I can touch my hands. You can touch your pillow if you're laying in bed feeling anxious. 4 things that you can touch. 3 things that you can hear. This is external sound, maybe a bird chirping outside your window, or the wind blowing if you're outside, or for instance, the ice machine that's making ice. 3 things that you can hear. 2 things that you can smell. Maybe it's the air freshener, maybe it's the perfume or cologne you're wearing, maybe it's the candle that's burning, or the smell of your lunch in your trash can, like whatever you can smell. 2 things that you can smell, and then 1 thing that you can taste. Maybe it's the lunch left over, the taste of your lunch left over in your mouth. Maybe it's taking a drink of your hot tea and tasting the tea, or grabbing the fruit or the snack and tasting the snack. You're able to kind of bring yourself back to yourself. This is a grounding technique for anxiety. You can practice the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, grounding technique, wherever you are. Whenever anxiety, fear, emotions are flooding you and you feel out of control, this is something that you can do to ground yourself and to bring yourself back to yourself. And so it's acknowledging what you can see, what you can touch, what you can hear, what you can smell, and what you can taste. This is a grounding technique. You can do this wherever you are. You can do it at home. You can do it at work. You can go to the bathroom and do it. You can take a time out, have a phone call, put things on hold, and ground yourself. This is a way to bring yourself back to yourself in the midst of whatever may be going on that has kind of like taken you off track, and you're having a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a flood of emotions that you did not expect. It's a grounding technique. This is how you can stay grounded or get grounded when you don't feel grounded. You know what I'm saying? So a grounding technique. The second thing that we can do to get grounded or to stay grounded is meditation. Now, I've talked about this in other episodes, and this practice is so important. I do this every day, every morning for at least 15 minutes. Sometimes I do it, I try to do it for 20, and I just practice mindfulness, doing a meditation. And this is focusing your mind. Meditation actually trains your mind to focus or redirect your thoughts So you can use meditation to increase awareness of yourself. Again, groundedness is really bringing yourself back to yourself. And so you can use meditation to increase awareness of yourself, to increase awareness of your surroundings. And it's a technique, again, to get grounded and to stay grounded. And so you're like, okay, Katara, like, you want me to meditate? How do I do this? And I've tried meditation before, and I've tried sitting with myself, and I get distracted and it doesn't work, and I don't see the point in it. I'm kind of bored. The point of it is to help you focus and to help you become grounded and to stay grounded. Again, meditation trains your mind to focus or redirect. This is so important. And I'll talk here in a little bit about an experience that I had where doing meditation every day, I was able to see how I had been doing this practice every day, and I was able to benefit from this practice because of a situation that popped up in my life recently in the last several weeks. And so meditation, again, is a technique that helps you focus your mind. This is so important for us, especially right now with everything that's happening in our world. It's so important for us to push the pause button and to meditate. So I do this first thing in the morning. Sometimes I do it before I even get out of the bed. I just grab my phone and I set my timer. This is going to require you to get still for 15 minutes. All right, 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. Get still. So I want you to grab a timer. I set a timer on my phone, and then I start breathing. I inhale through my nostrils, and then I breathe out of my mouth, in through my nostrils and out through my mouth. And I just do that several times, kind of slow my breathing, and I focus on my breath. Now, sometimes I put my little earbuds in and I listen to meditative music. I'm going to go give you some resources, some apps that you can actually use to help you meditate and to stay focused during your meditation. Sometimes I use music, sometimes I don't. And so, but I do focus on my breath, or you can focus on the music, or you can focus on a sound in the room. Sometimes I'll focus on my fan that's going in the room, or the buzzing of the furnace or the air conditioner. I'll just focus on a sound, and I'll quiet my mind, and I'll push the pause button on the to-do list, and I'll push the pause button on what I'm freaking out about, and I'll push the pause button on everything that's awaiting me for the day, and I just focus on my breath, or I focus on a sound, or I focus on the music, and I bring awareness to my breath, to that sound. I bring awareness to myself, and I just push the pause button before I even start my day. And you know, my mind wanders sometimes. Your mind's gonna wander during meditation. That's okay. It's okay. I tell people all the time, I tell my clients all the time, it's okay. Just bring yourself back to yourself and redirect your focus back on your breath, back on the meditative music, back on the sound that you're focusing on. And honestly, this is allowing us to, again, bring ourselves back to ourselves. This is, again, meditation is a technique of mindfulness. It's helping us to be grounded and to stay grounded and to sit with ourselves. And you just bring yourself back to your breath every single time. And you really are able to focus yourself. and to ground yourself before your day even gets crazy, before your day even starts, before the phone starts ringing, or before you even check the emails. This is an opportunity for you to ground yourself in your day, at the beginning of your day, and to resist for a second all of those even negative thoughts. Because I don't know about you, but a lot of times before I even open up my eyes, my mind is going to a negative place, especially when we have things like this pandemic, or we have bad news that we just received, or we've got a stressor, things that are causing us stress at work or in our family, or we're stressing about bills or money or whatever. Our mind can go to a negative place before we even open our eyes. And so I think it's really important for us to begin practicing focusing and meditating and practicing mindfulness, because it helps us to redirect those negative thoughts, to kind of push the pause button on those negative thoughts and bring ourselves back to ourselves. Because your truest, most authentic self, your powerful self, if you're able to tap into her, if you're able to tap into him, if you're able to tap into them, then you are able to ground yourself in your day and take on whatever is out there. But if we just start our day and not ground ourselves, a lot of times what ends up happening is those things cause thoughts and cause feelings, and they begin to overtake us. And then next thing you know, you're so maxed out and stressed out, and you just don't even know, like, crazy day, right? Crazy week, crazy whatever. But give yourself the gift of grounding yourself. If you can tap into that power, which we all have that power. We all have that part of us, that truest, most authentic part of us. That's where your peace is. That's where your groundedness is. That's where your joy is. That's where your strength is. That's actually where your ideas to get out of that situation is. That's where your creativity is. But you gotta ground yourself, and you have to begin to meditate. I can't encourage this enough. Meditation has become such a huge tool in my life that has helped me to stay grounded and to get grounded when I don't feel grounded. Now, this doesn't mean that, if I meditate, I'm never going to have problems, or I'm never going to worry, or I'm never going to stress. Girl, you going to stress, you going to worry. There's going to be some things like we're all experiencing right now that has us afraid and feeling uncertain. Those things are going to pop up. But what's beautiful about having a practice of mindfulness, having a grounding technique that we can grab and that we can use in the moment, is that we're able to take control of what we can control. We can control the anxiety. We can control our sense of well-being. We may not be able to control what's happening out here, but we can control what's happening here. And so when those things pop up, because I've been practicing staying grounded and being grounded, it's easier for me to return to that. It's easier for me to return to myself and embrace the peace that I have, to tap into the power that I have, again, to tap into ideas, to tap into creativity, to tap into the joy that is there, that sometimes life is telling us it's not there, but it is there. And you can use these practices to get yourself back to your truest, most authentic self, who is already grounded. And so I talked to you a little bit ago about how these practices, this grounding technique for anxiety and meditation came into play in a big way in my life a couple weeks ago. I went in for my annual exam, which I am a firm believer in doing every year, my pap smear and my mammogram. Ladies, if you don't and you haven't, please schedule your annual exam. Please go in for your mammogram. It is important for you to prioritize your health and to prioritize yourself and to just do it. It's important. I am an advocate of this. I preach to people all the time, like, go to your physician, get checked, get your exam. It's so vital and so important for your well-being. And so I went in for my annual exam, and I love my doctor. She's amazing. And I went in and got my pap smear, and then she did a breast exam in the room, and then she sent me down. It's super convenient. All I have to do is go downstairs to get my mammo. And so went downstairs after I had my exam with her. Went downstairs, got my mammogram. It was all normal, and went through the whole process like I always do. Nothing out of the ordinary. Left, they're like, we'll let you know what your results are, which is what always happens. And I usually get my results in my little app on my phone, and then I go back the next year. And so I went on about my day. I went on like I normally do. I stopped at the coffee shop and did some errands. Then I stopped at the coffee shop and I sat down and was doing my work for the afternoon. And all of a sudden I got a call that I didn't recognize, and usually when I get a call that I don't have saved in my phone, I just let it go to voicemail. And so it went to voicemail, and I thought, something told me, check that voicemail right now. And so I did, and it was the breast exam office calling me to tell me that I needed to call them back immediately to schedule another appointment. And so in hearing that, I have to say that as soon as I heard the voicemail, I could feel in my physical body, it was like started in my stomach, and then it kind of rushed. It was like a rush of emotions to like up here, like my heart, but it was all right here. It felt hot and anxious. I felt like my heart was even kind of fluttering. There was like a lot happening right in here. My chest, my stomach, I was just like, got really nervous. And I felt kind of sick. And in my gut, I just felt, ugh, like, what does this mean? And so I had to, even in that moment before I called the office back, I had to begin grounding myself. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, right? Doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, the grounding technique, like bring yourself back to yourself. There's no and I had to start talking to myself. There's no reason to get nervous about information that you don't even know, like you don't even know the full story or all of the info. And so I just like calmed myself. I walked outside. I remember going outside the coffee shop's door, and calling the breast exam office back, and got a lady on the phone, and she was just like, "Hi, yeah, I just left a message, and we're gonna need you to come back in." And of course, she's just like a person she's a scheduler, so she didn't have any information for me. I was like, do you have any information? She goes, no, the radiologist would just like to see you and go over the exam, and when can you come in? And I was like, well, as soon as possible. And she's like, well, we don't have anything for 2 weeks. And I remember thinking to myself, are you freaking kidding me? I didn't say freaking, that's the other word. Are you kidding me? Like 2 weeks? I have to sit with this not knowing for 2 weeks? This is not cool. This is unfair, and I want to know right now. I can come back right now. She's like, we don't have anything right now. You have to wait 2 weeks, so schedule. I'm like, calming myself down. It has nothing to do with her. So I'm trying to be nice to her, and like, okay. And so we scheduled it for 2 weeks. She's like, would you like me to put you on the waiting list if something opens up before then? I'm like, yes, please put me on the waiting list. So I go on the waiting list, And I hang up the phone, and I had to talk myself into back into my ground, like being grounded. I had to say, Katara, you're fine. You're healthy. You don't need to worry about something that you don't know the full answer to. Stay calm. And I am like listen, I'm telling you, I could feel it. I could just feel it in my body, like, sick. But I had to ground myself. Stay calm. You've got this. And I could sense this groundedness, this calm come over me. And I know that it was because I was able to use the grounding technique. I was also able to remember, like, it was almost like I had a clarity or like a calming that I know was because I've been meditating for I don't know how long, every day for 20 minutes a day. Like, it has been a practice. And it was like, I could feel myself kind of going like out here, like freak out mode. And then I could feel myself being like, no. Let's come back. Let's come back to your power. Let's come back to groundedness. Let's come back to your truest, most authentic self. And this is who you are. You are healthy. You are fine. You are calm. Whatever is in front of you, you're strong enough to handle it. You've got this. And I had to start coaching myself. I'm a coach and I coach other people, but I had to start coaching my own self, right? I had to start really being positive, because you get a phone call like that and you can go to Negativeville, negative town real fast, right? And I had to bring myself back to myself and remind myself of who I am. I had to remind myself of who I am. Now, fortunately, they were able to get me in a week sooner. So the very next week they had an opening. I went in. I didn't know until I went back into the room. They actually ended up doing an ultrasound. Oh my gosh. And then during the ultrasound tech had to, she's like, I'm going to have to go get the doctor, the radiologist. This is during the test, you guys. She's like, I'm going to have to go get the radiologist. I'll be back. I could feel myself going to crazy town. I could feel myself getting those emotions out of control, anxiety, fear. And as I'm laying on the table, I can feel myself wanting to go there. And I'm like, no. This is how you stay grounded. Use your grounding technique, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, right? Doing that. And then I just closed my eyes and I began to meditate right on the table, the exam table with my little pink shirt on or whatever it's called, and my arms up, and I'm like laying there, and I began to meditate on the table and just kind of like relax and bring myself back to myself, ground myself. And then as I'm meditating, again, I start coaching myself right there on the table. And I tell myself, you're fine. You're healthy. Whatever is happening and that's going to happen in the next several minutes, whatever news you get, you've got this. You're strong enough for this. You've prepared yourself for this. You are powerful. You are healthy. You are strong. I was just like telling myself all the things. And the radiologist comes back in. She picks up the wand and she starts doing the ultrasound as well. Anyway, all of that happened. I end up sitting up. She gets all done sitting up and she's like, oh, so it's this and it's not. It's benign and it's not. Oh, yeah. There's some other things other questions that she asked me during the exam that I could feel myself about ready to go to Crazy Town Place. But I just was like, no, it's fine. And so I sat up and she ended up, telling me that everything looked fine and that they just wanted me to come back in 6 months. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate you being so thorough. La la. Got dressed. And I remember sitting back in the room after I got dressed and just kind of inhaling and exhaling, taking a deep breath, and just being so grateful for the work that I had and have done internally to be a grounded person. Now, this isn't just, a story and something that I did and somehow I'm different than you. These are practices that you can add into your life to allow yourself to be a grounded person. That when things hit your door, when trouble comes a knocking, when we have a pandemic, when you have fear, when you have a setback, when you have trouble in a relationship, when things, a storm, my grandmama used to say, when a storm comes a brewing, you can be ready for it. Because you might blow like a tree and a limb might fall off here and some leaves might fall off there and you might bend a little, but at the end of the day, because you've done the internal work to be grounded, there's going to be roots that are going to be underneath that people may not be able to see. You might look the same, you might sound the same, but at the end of the day, you are different. Because you've done the work to be grounded, and your roots go deep and they go out. But it only happens if you do the work to be grounded, to stay grounded, and to know how to become grounded in situations. This isn't just for a select few. This is for you. You, as you're listening to this, as you're watching this, you can have these practices that you do in your own life to help you to be grounded and to stay grounded or to become grounded. I was so grateful that I had been doing my groundedness practices that I could immediately bring myself back to myself. Do you hear me? I could bring myself back to myself. Now, when I say that, I mean bring yourself back to your truest, most authentic self, your seat of power, your seat of peace, your seat of joy, your seat of happiness, your seat of creativity. You can bring yourself back to yourself. And I was so grateful that I had been doing that work, because I didn't worry for that whole week, which was going to be 2 weeks. I kept meditating. I kept coaching myself. I kept telling myself who I really am. And you can do that same work so that in times like we're experiencing with the virus that has hit us and that has affected all of us, hitting many of our wallets, our businesses, it's impacting us. It's important for us to have these practices in our lives so that we can ground ourselves and that we can show our family and people we love, here are some things that you can do to help you. Because there are going to be things like this that pop up in our lives. And when we feel out of control, there's things that we absolutely cannot control right now. There's absolutely things that we can't get our hands around and control. And this is a big one. This pandemic is a big one. There's things in our lives that are big ones all the time, that happen in our lives all the time. And if we can learn how to become grounded, then we can learn to control the anxiety, the fear, those emotions that pop up in us. It's not about them going away, but it's about settling yourself. It's about grounding yourselves in moments where you feel like out here is out of your control. In here can be in control. You have power to ground yourself. And it's my hope and it's my desire that you begin practicing the groundedness technique, and then you begin practicing meditation. If you haven't already, I encourage you to do it. Now, I wanted to talk to you about some apps that you can get on your phone. You can go to your app store and you can get these apps to help you with mindfulness and to help you with meditation. Because you may think, well, you know, Katara, I don't even know where to start. Like when I sit down, I just get antsy and I just don't even know what to do. Well, here's some apps that you can download on your phone to help you practice mindfulness and to help you begin to use the technique of meditation. So Happify is an app that you can download that helps you with meditation, with mindfulness. Also Headspace. Headspace is another app. Calm is another app that you can download on your phone. They're really easy to use, that you can download. Another one that's really amazing is Oak Meditation and Breathing. This actually takes you through some breathing techniques, some breathing practices, meditation. Such a great app. All of these apps are so good for you to use. You can just pull it out. You can be sitting in your car and pull up this app and begin meditating and begin grounding yourself. The last one that I want to talk about is Brain FM. Brain FM is another app that you can download, that you can have right here on your device to meditate and to practice mindfulness. Listen, it is my hope and my desire that during trying times like we're experiencing right now, that we have tools in our little invisible tool belt that we can access to ground ourselves, to calm ourselves, to reduce anxiety, to kind of bring ourselves back to ourselves. And there are going to be things in our lives like we're experiencing right now that are out of our control. But there are some things that you can control. You can control your reaction to what's out of control. You can control how you feel about what seems to be out of control. You can still have peace in the midst of a storm. You can still have a sense of groundedness even when the winds are blowing and there's turmoil and there's chaos. You can still have a sense of peace, a sense of groundedness, a sense of joy, happiness, even in the midst of crazy, chaotic things happening in our lives. And it's my desire that you give yourself that gift of groundedness. You can do it. You can have it. It's accessible to you. So practice the grounding technique. Practice meditating and give yourself the gift of groundedness. You can have that in the midst of a crazy time going on in our world and a crazy time that may be going on in your life. I hope that this episode that really resonated with you and that you got something out of it. I believe that you can have peace right now, regardless of what's going on out there. We all can have peace. And if a handful of us or a group of us can do that and we can permeate a sense of groundedness in our cities and in our communities, I think it'll bring a sense of calm to everyone. So I want to encourage you to meditate and to practice your groundedness technique. Thank you for listening. And yeah, until next time.